Hello, good day. Welcome to a very excited Toon Under pod. The players will almost be in Australia now, I think. A few hours, not
Just
very long
about.
after the last game of the season. We're going to talk about that trip soon because all three of us on the podcast today will be in Melbourne for both or at least one of those games coming up. So we're going to talk about that towards the end. But we're also excited because Newcastle beat Brentford 4-2. Did it the hard way, but we've almost sealed a place in Europe. We'll unfortunately have to wait until next Saturday night to see what happens in the FA Cup final. Typical. It would be typical for us if Man United fucked things up for us and managed to beat Man City, but at least we can put a good compensation bet on anyway. Man U were 5-1 to win that, so a couple of $100 maybe, a little bit of compensation to feel better if the worst happens. I've got Craig, who is currently in Mackay, soon to go to Melbourne. How are you, Craig?
I'm canny, mate. I don't think I'm going to get much kip to eat, though. Got me flight about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Proper buzzing. It's going to be an epic few days and buzzing off the result this morning as well.
I saw your tweet before about it's been, 7 years since you were at a Newcastle game. So, yeah, it's very nice for you. Very exciting for us. Bobby, you live close to Melbourne. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Excited to see the club, but also see the boys and yourself. And yeah, just pumped. Can't wait. Can't believe it. You know, watching the game this morning and then realise that in a couple of days I'll be at the mighty MCG, watching the Toon, which is just a ridiculous thing to think about, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's good that we've got some Victorians on this podcast because you can tell us what the weather's like and how many layers we need to bring and things like that. So I'm coming down on Friday, and my wife Katie was packing my daughter's bag before, so we're wondering how many layers. She only owns one coat, so it's like we might have to buy a coat or something when we get there. Don't know what a coat is in Queensland. Anyway, we will get to Melbourne. We'll get to the Australia trip. But before we do that, I want to just talk generally about the fact that Newcastle have finished 7th in the league table. Let's just flash the league table up. We'll talk about Brentford game in a minute, but a long, hard, bruising season has finished. I don't know about you, but I'm just relieved it's over now. Like we've been feeling for quite a while like it'll be good to get the season over. The sleep's not been great lately. The games have been a bit up and down throughout the whole season, and really since December, it's been a bit of a struggle at times. But we have picked up a bit, apart from the little blip midweek against Man United. We have finished 7th on 60 points, level with Man United on 60 points. First time we've ever finished above them in the league, which is nice. Chelsea put together 5 wins in a row at the end of the season, so they finished 3 points above us. And we're 6 points off Spurs and only 8 points off Villa in 4th, actually, in the end, because they dropped off a little bit. So, Craig, I'll come to you first. How do you feel generally about a 7th place finish?
I'm out of the moon, to be honest. I think I was talking to Mark on the last podcast I was on, and even at one point it looks as though 10th was going to be a bit of a struggle for the way things are going. So 7th is absolutely fantastic. Come 1st of January, the way things are going, I would have snapped your hand off for 7th.
Yeah, and it's funny because we don't know if we're in Europe yet. And, you know, a lot of people have kind of been saying if we get Europe, any kind of Europe, it's a good outcome. But it's completely out of our hands now. So I think you can't really say it's gone from being a good season if Man United don't win the FA Cup to not being a good season because if Man United do win the FA Cup, because we've got the same amount of points either way. You know, it's just we're just relying on the maths working in our favor now and the qualification. Luckily, they are playing Man City, so they should do it. But we'll try not to worry too much about that yet. I'm just going to flash up the away form and the home form as well, Bobby, and then I'll come to you. So away form has been a bit of a problem this season. I think everyone would accept that. We've got 20 points on the road from 19 games, 6 wins, which isn't too bad, but only 2 draws and 11 defeats, and we've conceded more than 40 goals on the road. So it's been a bit of a struggle. The win this morning did propel us up to 11th in the overall away league table. Before that, we were down in 16th. But the home form has been really good. We've got 40 points from 19 games. won 12, drew 4, and only lost 3. Goal difference of plus 27. That's actually 1 more point than we got at home last season. How do you reflect, Bobby, on the season and the home form and the away form and just the whole thing as a whole? How do you reflect now that the season's over?
I'm in awe that we're finished 7th because it's been a nightmare season. In all metrics, you want to, like, the injuries were just like ridiculous. We didn't have Joelinton, we didn't have Pope, we didn't have Willock, we didn't have a lot of players, Botman, for a lot of the season, and you could have, been understanding if we fell out of Europe altogether. Like, we still might not make Europe, but had no contention. If we finished 10th and all that, I think it would have been a decent season considering everything. So to finish 7th is remarkable. The away form, probably have to improve. But again, there were situations why it didn't. The injuries we had, I think in other years we get a few more draws and a few more points. And look at that goal difference, -4, when we finished, with a really sizable goal difference. You look at the league table as it was. If we had beaten Man United during the week, we get above Chelsea because of the goal difference. So all in all, like Craig, over the moon with 7th. I think Eddie Howe needs to be applauded to not just give up in the situation, not just woe is me. We got all these injuries, whatever it is. He just masterminded some victories we didn't think we could do. And yeah, here we are. We're a Saturday night away from celebrating another Europe adventure for the Toon, which doesn't come around often, so we'll take it.
We certainly will. And I think I shared the league table after the Chelsea game in March, not long ago, on Twitter. And we were 10th at that point. And then when we got knocked out of the FA Cup, I think by Man City, we were still around 10th. And we were all saying things like, let's just finish this season.
Mm-hmm.
It was really getting quite stressful at times. But you've really got to give them credit. And it's no surprise that players have started coming back. And it's not like we've got everyone back. There was still around 5 players missing from the squad today that would have been in the team or in the squad. And obviously, players who are there are not fully fit necessarily, and that's why probably some of them didn't start against Man United. But it's no surprise that we've had less games and we've had more time on the training pitch. We've had some players coming back and the form's picked up a bit. And I think it's probably fair to say that it's quite a widespread view. I think that especially if Nick Pope and Joelinton, if they've managed to stay fit, even for half the games that they missed, if they'd been fit for half of them, we would have been pushing top 4 because that's only 8 more points. So I think it's a massive achievement to even be 7th. It's kind of like we've done the seasons kind of the wrong way around. It's if we'd have finished 7th and got Conference League and got to 2 cup quarterfinals last season, that would have been seen as a really good progress. And then if we'd have got 4th in a cup final this season, that would have just been seen as natural next step progress. But that's not how it works. But I think as long as you keep that overall picture, I think it's good. The club's going in one direction, and that's been borne out, I think, by the end result this season. So that's good. Let's have a look at some of the. I was going to just try and research these stats, but then I just went on nufc.com, which had them all there nicely. So we've scored 36 away goals in 19 Premier League games, which beats the 34 in 01-02. Obviously, that's skewed by the 8 we scored at Sheffield United. And I was like, that goal difference of -4, that's even including the Sheffield United hammering. So it just demonstrates, even though away form has not been good in terms of results, we've still actually managed to win a few and score plenty of goals. So that's good. In all competitions this season, we've scored 102 goals, including 85 in the Premier League. We haven't done that in a top flight season since 1960-61. And that 85 is the highest ever we've scored in the Premier League. So we've been really free scoring. We've beaten Brentford home and away, so that's 5 doubles we've got, as well as Villa, Burnley, Fulham, and Sheffield United. And like I said before, we've finished above Man United for the first time since 1976, 1977. It's been a strange one, hasn't it, Bobby? Because we've been, it's felt painful at times and battering and bruising. But you look at some of those stats, and we've basically just scored millions of goals.
It's absurd the season, because it's just been tiring, and as you said, we've wanted the season over since about January. I think it's just been a long, hard slog, and usually those years we were in relegation trouble or a bit of issues going on and off the pitch. But this year, by those stats, it's been a remarkable year and something that should be celebrated. Now that we can get over that it's over and the slog's gone, we should be celebrating that and pointing to next season. As you know, as I said in the chat this morning, I think now we've got a really big foundation to launch for next year, and expectations of top four should be now in our vocabulary, because I think we can do it now.
Yeah, we'll do a full season review, and we'll do obviously previews and everything ahead of the new season. But we did talk about that this morning. We really have to take ourselves as a serious European challenging team now, don't we? Like we're there for 2 seasons now on merit, and if you look at our best players, they would grace the Champions League. You know that we want to see if we can hold on to these our best players at least for a bit long, for one more season, and see what we can do. And see where we go from there. But Europe is a big deal, I think. It's really beneficial for us to be in Europe and for the experience, just for the squad management. So the club and the fans and the management can learn how to play. It'll be Friday morning, Sunday night, or Monday morning games. So that'll be interesting if we do get there. But it's also good for the coefficient. So it means that next time we are in the Europa League or the Champions League, we've got more likely to get a bit of a better draw and be in a higher pot. It's obviously just good for the club profile. A club of our size on our trajectory needs to be in Europe, even though there is an argument that if we weren't in Europe, we might have a better chance of doing better in the league. But I think we're at a stage now where we need Europe. We want Europe as a club. Craig, does it matter to you that it's going to be Conference League if we get it rather than Europa League, or which of the we are really keen on Europa League, or you're not bothered, just pleased to be in any kind of Europe?
Not overly that fussed, to be honest, because financially there's not that much in it between the two. There's very little difference. So go to the Conference League where some of the teams, looks like you've just literally spelt them out from the last few letters of a bag of Scrabble. Some of them have had to Google just to see if they were even made up ones from their old Pro Evolution soccer days. But it's a tournament that if we do get through from Man United losing the FA Cup final, us along with Napoli, you think would probably be considered as the 2 favourites to win that tournament, purely just on the quality of our squad and theirs,
I've just flashed up the projected pots for the Conference League. I was having a good laugh at this earlier. I was thinking about what would be the best away trip. And actually, there's a team called Order Bassi, who I think might be a Kazakh team. And I was joking with my friends on chat with my friends this morning, saying I'll meet you halfway, because Kazakhstan is not too far off halfway between Australia and the UK. But the way that it works with the Conference League, so there's 6 pots. Newcastle currently on the coefficient, we'd be in pot 2. You play 1 team from each pot, so you play 6 games in total, 3 home and 3 away. You're in a big league, so there's 36 teams or whatever it is. Top 8 after the 6 games go through to the round of 16, and then 9 to 24 they play off in like a knockout to get into the last 16, and then from there on it's a straight knockout. So this year, it's a bit different from the Champions League and the Europa League because there's less games. They play 8 games. But I'm actually quite intrigued, Bobby, to see how this new Swiss-style European system actually works. I think it's good that teams don't drop in anymore from the Champions League into the Europa League. The winner of the Conference League gets a Europa League spot the next season. The winner of the Europa League gets a Champions League spot for the next season. But are you intrigued, Bobby? How do you think this is going to work, this big league system they've got?
Don't know. It's all new, isn't it? But I'm just excited to play some of these teams. Like, we got Vinegar, Ray Jakic down the bottom there. They look like a Finnish side. I don't know. Just we need to be in Europe, and I think whatever European competition it is, the likes of Isaac, Bruno, Botman, Gordon, Joelinton, it whets their appetite playing against the perceived other clubs, and people that look down at the Conference League. Really, I don't get it myself. To have a club like Napoli, Olympiacos, Real Betis, you're looking through that list. There's a lot of good clubs in there too. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm pumped, and hopefully Man City do the job on Saturday night, because I'll be interested to see how this pot system works, to be honest.
Yeah, it's I remember when Newcastle played. We played against a team called Panionios from Greece, and there was event spills, and there was loads of teams we've played that, like, the big away games are all well and good at the San Siro and stuff, but proper European experience, you're going to like Scandinavia or somewhere in December. Everyone's freezing, but it's going to be an interesting experience if we get in there. But like you said, we do have to rely on Man City to beat Man United. You just sort of dismissed that before, Craig, and said that it's going to be straightforward. Man U have won the last 2 games. They beat us, they beat Brighton, even though the team looks pretty bad on paper. Man City and Man City, obviously. But Man City did once lose an FA Cup final to Wigan Athletic. I'm already getting nervous about this because I'm desperate to be in this draw for the Conference League next season. Craig, can you just reassure me that Man City are going to beat Man United?
Man City are a different beast. We all know that. But I just think the fact that Man City don't have the Champions League final to fall back on, to look forward to, I think Pep's just going to have them so fired up for this, just because A, it's their local rivals, B, it's another trophy in the bag, and C, it's just going to elevate their status as a club even further again. They probably are the biggest club in the world right now in terms of success, and how that appears on the pitch as well. But Man United, there's no way they're going to be able to cope with that. If De Bruyne's on form, I mean, we all seen what a slightly unfit De Bruyne done against us back at St James's Park earlier on the season. He tore an absolute new one. If he's on form, he's fully fit, they're going to have no chance. And Haaland, I've said that he is a big game bottle job, and I do stand by that. So I would expect the likes of Phil Foden, who is probably their best player right now, to stand up and be counted for, and they get the win, lift that trophy, and we celebrate down here and on the streets of Tyneside as we get an away game at Brøndby or something like that, because that's going to be absolutely fantastic.
But Bobby, it's a one-off game though. It's a one-off game, and it's a derby. And I know Man City, but how do you feel about it?
I'm like you, mate. I don't share Craig's optimism. I just know that we, something will happen, and I've just got memories of Manchester United beating Man City in some another cup recently, and it's just all. I'll try not to think about it now. I'm going to enjoy this week with the club down in Australia, and we'll get to Saturday night, Sunday morning when we get to it, and I'll probably, we'll have a heart attack or two in that space of time. I mean, and that's how much it means to us, though. To make the Conference League. There's that much, riding on it. So but I don't share Craig's optimism. I think in a derby, anything can happen.
And I think it's what we deserve as well for this season. We are a better team than Man United. Like let's not sort of make any bones about that. We're a better team. We've got better players. The goal difference for this season bears that out. They had a load of lucky wins basically, where Scott McTominay was scoring the last minute. But I was talking about this with Mark the other day. Man United just know how to win as a club, and I know they've forgotten that lately and haven't been as good. But like the game that we played against them the other night kind of showed this. Like they've had their worst ever Premier League season, and they've still got equal points with us. And we're pleased with what we've got, even though we've got a better team and better players. So it shows you, doesn't it, Bobby, that we've got a way to go really before we're in that same mindset of being a big elite club who expects to win things and be in these competitions season on season.
I fucking hate them. Like really passionately hate them. But I respect them, and even though we can laugh at them now a little bit because they've sort of lost their way, but you're right, their prestige, their history, they just know how to win and they know what it takes to be a big club. And we're striving for that, and if we can be that type of club that has a bad season and still finishes within a European spot, mate, that's the level we need to get to. So, shitting bricks at the moment, but we'll see how we go.
And let's move on and talk about the Brentford game then. This was a good game for us. We actually had to win it in the end as well. So, and there was talk about bottle and mentality after the Man U game, very understandably, and we still need to show that we can do it in these big games against the big teams. But to actually, and it didn't feel like too nervous in this game, apart from a bit we'll talk about later, because we went into a 3-0 lead. But in terms of the team, Pope and Joe Linton were back in the team. Trippier dropped out for Kraft, and Kraft went to right back. And then Gordon was obviously injured, so he made way for Harvey Barnes. Craig, Nick Pope and Joe Linton in the starting 11. It's just a massive boost, isn't it? How did it make you feel when you woke up at half midnight and saw that?
Well, they are literally part of the backbone of the squad. They are probably two of the first names that you can put in the starting 11 by far. Dubravka has been okay since Pope got injured. He has been fantastic. He has been brilliant or anything. He's just been steady. Yes, he's led in some sloppy goals, but Pope is on another level in terms of goalkeeping ability. And we'll probably get to his save against Tony later on. We all know what Joe Linton brings, and that was evident with his forward running of the ball, his strength, his aggression. He's controlled aggression as well after picking up an early yellow card, which I thought was absolutely fantastic from him. Because I actually said at halftime, I think he's going to get sent off. But yeah, he was superb. Both of them were. And it's so good to have them back. It's just a shame it couldn't have been a few games earlier.
We've said that about Joe Linton a lot, haven't we? He's going to get sent off, and he never actually has for us. So he's managed to...
friendly.
Oh, yeah,
against
friendly,
the Saudis, didn't he?
But he's managed to sort of get booked and then keep a lid on it. But you're right, what you said. It's controlled aggression. And I think Elliot Anderson's done all right recently, Bobby, in that position. But, Joe Linton's very unique, isn't he? What he brings, like his strength, his power, his ability, to win the ball, to get in the opposition's faces. He was a big part of the shithousery that we did a lot last season. Good to see him back in the team, Bobby.
Oh yeah, I think we've spoken ad nauseum about how important he is because he's such a different player. There's no one really like him in anywhere, and he adds that fierce mentality to us. All of a sudden, when he's in the team, you're not fucking around. You can't take the mickey out of the rest of the boys because you don't want him steaming down on you and putting in a challenge or getting in his way. But we talk about that sort of element of his game. He is highly, highly skilled. He is just a pleasure to watch sometimes with his passing and his movement and stuff. His goal kicking and finishing, a bit all over the place. But other than that, he is just a unique footballer that I don't think exists anywhere else.
I was going to say we'll let him off for that miss because it was early on and it didn't matter in the end, but it wasn't good. And he missed the one against Dortmund as well in the Champions League, the header. So it's definitely his one weakness, if you want to say that. But luckily, we've got plenty of other players who can score goals. We'll talk about that save now, Craig, because I don't think that Dubravka. Well, he wouldn't have made that save from Tony's header because it was that big paw of Nick Pope to claw it out. There was another one he made down that side as well, which Dubravka just doesn't make those saves to his right hand side. It's just the confidence, isn't it? He brings in the whole team as well as his ability as a shot stopper and his calm and presence catching the ball when we're under pressure late on as well. And I don't think he had any chance with either goal, especially the second one. It was a brilliant finish. But it's the confidence, isn't it, Craig? He brings in the team and the different style of play that we can actually play when we've got him there because the players know he's going to come off his line and sweep up.
He is to the defence to what Bruno is to the midfield. He really is. He's just that important. He just solidifies everything that's in there. I reckon he communicates a lot more with the defence than what Dubravka does. Whether that's a language barrier or anything, I'm not too sure. But he's such a good goalkeeper. And that save, was at such an important point of the game as well. If that had a went in, God knows what the result would have been. I think at the time it was 3-2 when he made that save. So if that had a went in, would have pulled it back to 3-3, and then it would have been very arse twitchy time going on for the last 20 minutes, however it was. But he's genuinely a top quality goalkeeper, and he's probably up there alongside Shea Given in terms of one of the best goalkeepers we've had in the Premier League era.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the links with pretty strong links last week with Aaron Ramsdale as well. So we're not going to talk about that now, but the club obviously know they've got work to do with the goalkeeper department. I think Dubravka will be on his way. He's not in the squad for Australia, although he is going to the Euros, I think, so that might explain that. But Karius is going as well, so we know we need to do something. So it'll be interesting to see what we do with that. But it's so good to have Pope back. So there was an early disallowed goal for Brentford after about 2 minutes. Ivan Toney had the ball in the net. I don't think there was a proper replay of this, but because I couldn't work out who was offside. But I think you said, Craig, it was Mbuemo on the right hand side who was adjudged to be offside. They didn't get the lines or anything out, did they? Though VAR just said it was offside.
They didn't show the lines, but I think they did obviously get them up in Stockley Park, wherever they are based on that one. But it was very, very close. I genuinely thought he was onside when that ball was made. He had a Hall skinned, which was probably the only lapse of error Hall made in the entire game, to be honest. But yeah, it was a good run from Mbuemo and tidy finish from Toney. But thankfully, for our sake, it was just offside. Literally the Biggs Dick Smith away.
So Brentford had that disallowed goal and they had quite a lot of possession, but then we actually got a foothold in the game. And as soon as we scored, I was counting. I went through the matches and counted how many goals we've scored within 15 minutes of scoring a previous goal, and it's actually 27 times now this season we've scored a goal and then scored another within 15 minutes. And it happened twice in this game. So it just shows you that when we score a goal, more often than not, we really get confidence up. We really get our tails up. I think it frightens opposition as well, because you've got Isak or Barnes or Wilson or Gordon or even Murphy, who were confident and they're attacking you, and there's not much you can do about it. And we just blow teams away, and all of a sudden it was 3-0. So it was pretty much game over by half time. We'll talk about all three goals, Bobby, but which one of the three was your favourite goal of those three that we scored quickly, and why?
The Barnes header, I think the ball in by Bruno, I think it was beautiful. And Barnes to get to that spot to make that run, yeah, I just think that was poetry in motion. On what you just said about the confidence and the goals, I wonder how much that's attributed to St. James's Park as well, because we know when we score, the crowd goes to a different octane level, and that feeds into the players. And I wonder if that stat, if we can get a home and away breakdown of that, would be really nice as well. But this was away, and we did it again. So in a flash of the eye, we had our good players stand up, and we put the ball in the back of the net.
Harvey Barnes, let's pull up the score and assist table for the season. So we know that Barnes has been injured since September. He's only made 23 appearances, and he's probably only started single figures. I don't even know if he started 10 games. He's got 5 goals and 3 assists, so he's got 8 goal contributions, and he's got 171 minutes per goal, which is bettered only by Isak and Wilson. But Craig, what do you think? What do you make of Barnes' first season for Newcastle?
First off, obviously disappointment with that injury. Got a freak injury at Sheffield United because he was doing really well. He started the season off with a bang with an assist and a goal against Villa. So he couldn't have asked for a better home debut on that one. Took a little bit to get going again. The West Ham game probably solidified his legend upon Newcastle fans with those 2 goals. I think a winner against West Ham is up there with one of the moments of the season. I think will be for most. But his contribution towards the second half of the season has to be recognised, because he's played almost half the games is what Miggy has, but yet he's got the same amount of goals and assists. And as you mentioned, his minutes per goal is only better by the 2 strikers. And Gordon, we know he's been scoring and assisting for fun. But imagine what it would have been like if we had both Gordon and Barnes fit for the whole season.
And I remember, Bobby, when we signed Barnes, we did a podcast and we were looking at his stats in terms of minutes per goal contribution. And like his numbers were elite level. They were up there with, I think it was someone like Neymar or something. He had like a similar similar numbers to. He's an interesting player, isn't he? Because he doesn't always look like he's doing that much. He's not necessarily very skillful, but he just knows where the goal is, doesn't he?
Yeah, on the attacking side of things, he can just impact the game and take the game away from opposition pretty quickly. And he's hard to read because I've got a list here of who I deem our elite players to be. And he's down the bottom with a question mark with Tonali because, again, we don't know. Tonali, I think, will become that elite player, but you've got Pope, Joelinton, Bruno, Botman, Isaac, and Gordon. And then if he can play consistently to the level he did when he played, Barnes will be joining that quite simply, just on his output. But I think, I would like to see him injury, free next year. And yeah, boy, if we scored 85 goals in the Premier League this season, a fit Barnes, we'll be scoring a few more.
And the other interesting aspect of this is he obviously plays in Gordon's position, and Gordon is probably our player of the season. So, like, is he going to be mainly used as an impact sub? Is that what his role is going to be? Because he can obviously do that role, but he's a good enough player to not have to, be pigeonholed into that role where he's not making many starts. He could play on the right hand side, but then you take away his cutting in and shooting. But
maybe
he's not. Yeah, go on.
Gordon's played the other side too. I think Gordon's a bit more flexible than Barnes in how he plays, and I think that's what Eddie wants. Eddie wants to. I said it previous podcast with Eddie. He loves fluid players, so they don't always stick to their traditional positions. They can come in and out and through his tactics. So yeah, it's a very interesting. When we signed him, there was a lot of question marks because it's like, well, wait a minute, we just spent 40 million quid on Gordon. What are we doing with getting Barnes in? But when they played together, it worked. Like it worked really well, and it was high impact. So trust in Eddie; he knows what he's doing. And I think if we can just get a new fitness team, medical and fitness team, we'll be all sorted for next season.
And ideally, they'd be, giving Gordon a rest at times as well, so he doesn't have to play every game. And he's done so well. He couldn't make the last one because of the rake that he got down his ankle. But anyway, Gordon Barnes, really good output for someone who's not actually played that much this season. Somebody else who's had a good output is Alexander Isak. He's got 25 goals in all competitions, 21 in the Premier League. He's not been well the last week or so. He wasn't himself against Brighton, and he got subbed off. And then he was out of sorts against Man United as well. He missed that chance that you never would have expected him to miss. But he was fully 100% back on it today. He set Murphy up with. If you actually look at this assist, like he delays the cross by just a minute, and that confuses the goalkeeper in the defense. First of all, he had the pace to get there, and then he just kind of shimmies a little bit and delays it, and then the cross was perfect. Jacob Murphy could not miss that. And then a couple of minutes later, he gets onto Bruno through ball and sticks it into the bottom corner. What a joy, Bobby, to have watched Alexander Isak this season, especially since about March when he's been fit. What a player, what a joy, what a performance today.
Mate, he's the words I don't have. He's the best striker since Shearer, hands down, that I've seen play for the club. He's just phenomenal. His movement, his touch, he glides across the field. His poetry in motion every time you watch him, but his finishing is deadly. Yeah, he's got a smile on his face. He's just a joy. Like I don't have the right words for him, but I think he can be the best striker in the world. That's how good he is. And that's astonishing to say that Newcastle United have a player that could be the best striker in the world.
He's probably already one of them, to be fair. He's doing this in the Premier League. And he set Joelinton's chance up as well by basically just skinning someone in the corner, a bit like against Southampton in the Cup last season, where and he's got that in his locker as well, where he can just absolutely skin people and put it on a plate. But how impressed were you with him today, Craig? And his season in general has been absolutely brilliant, hasn't it? Since he got fit, especially because he has missed some of the games again with injury.
Yeah, he's player that has actually surprised me this season. I didn't expect this level of goals from him. This say earlier on in his Newcastle career, but he's proved me wrong and happy to have done so. But to get 20 plus goals in the Premier League with a team which, to be honest, has stuttered on a number of occasions this season is one hell of an achievement. It really is. I think Wilson got 19 last season. And I think Isak's done him more, but under fewer games as well due to his injury record. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal record. And he can only get better. That's the thing. He's 24 years old now. He's still got maybe 3 years before he reaches his peak. And that's just a scary thought of Isak getting even better again, isn't it?
That is frightening, isn't it? And hopefully we get to see him play that out at Newcastle. There's talk of him getting a new contract, which if that happens, that would be amazing news.
But I'm hearing that Arsenal are going to sign him for 60 million.
Arsenal fans seem to be living in cloud cuckoo land. They think they're going to sign him and Bruno in a part exchange for Ramsdale and Emil Smith Rowe or something like that. So I think what is his value though? Like we wouldn't sell. I don't think we'd sell him for 120 million actually at the moment.
No. No.
So someone who's this good and who's got this much potential and who's the right age as well. 25 goals in 40 appearances in total. So he's missed about 20% of the season through injury. And he's taken a little bit of time to get up to speed. But then when he has, he's scored a couple of goals each game, basically. He's just been absolutely outstanding, really. Brilliant player to watch. Half time then, it looked comfortable. We started messaging about being in Europe. Started to dream of away trips to Helsinki and Minsk and Dublin and Edinburgh. But Brentford hit back. And by 70 minutes, it was 3-2. The same time that they scored their second goal, which was a really good goal, news came through that Man United had taken the lead at Brighton. And I'm not going to lie, I was just sitting there I was just horrified. I was absolutely paralyzed with fear at this point. Because Brentford were actually on the up as well, and they'd had a few chances. It just had absolutely written all over it that they were going to equalize. We were going to throw away a 3-goal lead. Who else had visions at this point of it slipping away and thinking we were going to have to go into hiding for a couple of weeks? Because that's where my mind was at whatever it was, 1:30 in the morning at that time. Who else thought that's the way it was going to go?
Well, my horse was twitching like a rabbit's nose when that second goal went in. And then again with the news of Man United scoring, I'm thinking, I've got to go for an emergency shit shower or something just to get rid of the nerves or whatever. But it was, thankfully, they didn't have any other clear-cut chances apart from that Tony header as mentioned. And we managed to get a grip of the game again. But you're absolutely right. My pulse and heart rate were going through the roof. Had me defibrillator on standby, ready to go. But I was touch and go, wasn't it? It really was.
It would have summed it up, but wouldn't it, Bobby? The season to throw it away like that. And for me, the worst thing would have been the reaction and the abuse that Eddie Howe would have got, because I love that man like a member of my family, and I wouldn't have liked the reaction. And it would have been justified criticism for the team though to really have thrown it away and bottled it after being 3-0 up. Bobby, was your mind in that similar dark place at that point of the night?
Yeah, because midweek I copped a fucking 1,000 messages from my fucking Manchester Red friends about that loss, even though we should have won that game. So all that the visions were happening was like, nah, they're going to finish above us, and I'm going to cop it again. And I always get that way when we're in front and then we concede a couple and it looks like it's twitchy bum time. I'm always got visions in my head of how we're going to lose, not how we're going to win. That's a pessimistic side of my brain, but yeah, I was shitting bricks again in that game. But yeah, we were good enough to get over the line.
Yeah, and I think the character and the fortitude of the team at that point, because it would have been so easy to, because you still had Ivan Toney on the pitch as well, who I thought was just guaranteed to score a goal. He took out his frustration by piling into the back of Bruno. I think that was when it was 4-2 actually, but it just was nailed on for him to score. But even towards the end, there was 7 minutes added on, and even towards like 95 minutes, I was still worried that they were going to score 2 goals, which is complete not going to happen at that point. But anyway, before that, so it was 3-2. Lewis Hall, who has been really, really good the last couple of games, he's really been a bit of a revelation at left back. He slalomed up the pitch and he was brought down for an absolute Stonewall penalty, which wasn't a Stonewall penalty because VAR looked at it and said that it was actually outside the box. Bobby, this is just difficult. This is VAR, isn't it? Because that's in no world is that a clear and obvious error, because you've got a player who's basically running through. He had a free shot and he would have shot if he hadn't been brought down. So there was a huge disadvantage by him being clipped and brought down. VAR just re-refereed the game as it does. Luckily, it didn't matter, but it was a penalty, wasn't it? Really, like even if the contact was outside, he's still falling into the box, which has happened a few times this season. And I thought that was the rule, where it was still a penalty, even if the contact continues into the box. I don't know what the rule is, Bobby.
Who knows what the rule is? No one knows what the rules are. They make it up as they go, don't they? This whole fucking year has been a clusterfuck of VAR against us and whatever's happened. So I thought that was the icing on the cake. And again, visions came in that denied a penalty, they'll go through, Tony will score, and season, over. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't answer it anymore, mate. Like, I just don't get it, and that's the problem. Like, we talk about the AFL. I just don't understand the rules. I don't understand what is a penalty now, what isn't a penalty, why are some given, why are some not given, why are some going to VAR, why not? The game is all over the place, and I reckon technology in general in the world has caused a lot of angst, but I think in sport and particularly has just made the game a lot more confusing. And I'd much prefer it out and leave the bad decisions to human error, because the more this goes on, the more confused I get.
Any enlightenment, Craig, on this one? I guess technically it was a foul outside the box, but I don't know.
Dan Burn, earlier on the season, at St James's Park, I can't remember whether it was against Bournemouth or Luton. It was one of those games where he gave away a penalty, and the first contact was made outside of the box. The momentum carried the striker through and on goal, and it was given as a penalty. And Dan Burn was contesting. Look, the contact was outside. Referee and VAR overruled it and went to a penalty. How is this any different? It's the same season. Yes, a good couple of games later, they genuinely don't know their arse from their elbow. It's pistic. It really is. I don't understand it. And the way Wolves want VAR to be scrapped, because of decisions like that, I'm leaning towards it. But I like the concept of VAR. I just don't like how it's being re-refereed into the game. And it's an absolute joke, and it's laughable at times.
Like I was saying with Mark the other day, if you're always going to get subjective decisions, so you're not going to be able to get the right decision because some of them are subjective. So I think the way that it should go is that you do VAR for goal line technology and offsides, and you sort the offside bit out properly. So it's like the semi-automated thing, and then no one can complain, and then that's it. So subjective decisions are always going to be. There's always going to be an element, and there was one in the Arsenal game today as well, which basically was a handball. Michael Oliver was sent to the screen, and he's the only referee who ever disagrees when he's been sent to the screen. But you've got this whole dynamic where you've got experienced refs who don't want to be told that they've been wrong by maybe more inexperienced refs. It's just an absolute mess. Like, they need to just sort it out properly. And I think what Wolves have done is good. That even if it's doesn't get the change, it's still going to create some conversation about it, because it can't continue the way it is. Luckily, it didn't matter in this occasion, because Isak's free kick was saved and Bruno popped up, Bruno this game, you could sometimes you can just tell when Bruno is on one, and he was on one today from the first half. He's now got 7 goals and 8 assists in the Premier League this season, which is really amazing numbers for a defensive midfielder. He's only missed 1 game, which was the Bournemouth away game, and he avoided that yellow card for those 10 games that we needed him to before he missed more games. He got a goal and 2 assists today. He's just simply a world-class footballer. He's scored in 5 of our 6 away wins, which just shows you even more how important he is. When we've talked about player of the season for Newcastle, there's been talk about Gordon and Isak, but Bobby, not many people have really talked about Bruno. And there was even a point at the beginning of the season when people were saying he shouldn't be in the team when we had Tonali and Joe Linton there. What have you made of Bruno's performance in this game, Bobby, but also his general season and his importance to this club?
Yeah, well, he was phenomenal. I think this game highlighted exactly what he does for us all season and how important he is. He's going to be a massive loss when he does go, and I hope it's another season of him. I hope we get another season of him at least. One of the things that he got the season high for was distance covered. 423 kilometers he ran this season, which was the number one in the Premier League. And he just had a little tweet that said, "I thought I wasn't athletic," you know. So he was very proud of that fact as well. So he's a phenomenal player. He's elite again. He's one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. And I'm glad he plays for us. His passion, like you saw him when they put the bucket hat on him and him screaming, he just epitomizes us as well. I don't think he'd fit into any other team in the Premier League. Wouldn't be right. But he's just so important to us, and I want to see how he goes with Tonali. I mean, Bruno and Tonali running that midfield with Joe Linton in there as well. Jeez, it's going to be bloody handy.
I feel like we've been deprived of that this season because Tonali was finding his feet a bit. We got a glimpse of it in the first game of the season, and then there was a bit of a drop off. But do you remember that point, Craig, where people were actually legitimately suggesting that Bruno shouldn't be in the starting lineup after the Brighton Liverpool games?
There was a few people that even suggested that he's come back from his wedding and his honeymoon overweight and he's unfit and he shouldn't be part of the squad, which it's baffling because we all know what happens when Bruno's taken out of the squad. Our form drops big time. He is integral to our success on the pitch. But to drop him, you don't drop a man of that caliber. You just really don't. And today was a prime example of what he brings to this squad. And as the thumbnail suggests, he is fucking magic, isn't he? He really is. I can't think of a midfielder within the last 20 plus years, maybe longer, that has had such an impact in the way that we play our style of football. He's just so integral. It's unreal. He's
phenomenal footballer, and someone who was in the away end tweeted that his dad said he's staying. So there you go. All the ITKs can shove that up their ass. I want to, before we finish just talking about this game and get on to Australia, I just want to talk about Anthony Gordon for a minute. He obviously didn't play in this game. He had his Achilles raked down in the Man U game, which led to his talk about VAR quite a lot. He came out after that and he was so eloquent and in a very assertive but professional way when he was talking about VAR. And then it emerged today that somebody had tweeted him saying that their son is in a cancer ward in Manchester Hospital, and he's his favourite player. And could he do something for him? Anthony Gordon saw this. It got retweeted and things. And he got his girlfriend to drive him 3 hours from Newcastle to Manchester. He's just an absolutely wonderful person, wonderful human. I think the perception of him has changed from the couple of interviews he's done as well as his performances this season. But how good's that, Bobby? Like you tweeted about that. It really brought a tear to the eye, didn't you? That you've got players like this, young lad representing the club in this way. It's very, very special, isn't it?
Yeah, I did tear up when I think you brought it to my attention, and read the thread, and then watched the video of him and the young lad. Just what a player, what a person, what a revelation he's been. And you think back to when we were even thinking of signing him and how people were objecting to it, and the Everton fans were laughing at us about what kind of person he was and how he's not a good player, all that sort of stuff. And it's why you shouldn't get on Twitter and read from people on Twitter. They have no fucking idea, because he's easily our player of the season. And I say that with the utmost respect for someone like Bruno and Isaac, who've had remarkable seasons. Despite that, Gordon is our player of the season. That's how good he was. And as a person, he's now a leader of our football club. He's someone that we will see a lot more in England representing our club, and be proud that that bloke is representing Newcastle United. So just, that vision today, if you haven't seen it, Newcastle fans, just go and watch it and understand that these guys are human too. But for him to do something like that is just truly remarkable.
And he didn't do it for publicity. That he didn't tweet about it or anything like that. It was other people. I think it was the kid's mum had drawn it to the attention and she'd taken a video. But he's not doing this for publicity. He's doing it because he's a decent human being. And that's just so. We've got to enjoy these players for what they can do on the pitch, but also their personalities and their characters. And you've got to trust the club when they're doing recruitment and when they're signing players like this, that they've done their homework. They know they're getting good people as well as good footballers. And he just epitomizes that this season. And we'll talk about him a lot more when we do the season review, because like you said, he's been absolutely outstanding this season. So that's it. 7th in the Premier League, 4-2 win. I think that was the 10th game of the league that we'd actually scored 4 plus goals as well. So it's just nice to end the season on this note, and to have the team come into Australia. They left the stadium. They went straight to Heathrow and jumped onto an aeroplane. And it would have been a real downer, to be fair, if we had lost, or if we'd have drawn and not got into the top 7. So they're going to be able to enjoy the trip a bit more, and we'll be able to enjoy it that bit more as well. The squad was announced pretty much straight after the game as well. So there's a few notable absentees. Dubravka, Shah, Gordon. They probably all going to be playing in the Euros, and they've all had, or Shah and Gordon at least have had recent injuries. I think you flagged, Craig, that Longstaff is not in there as well. He's probably going to go get his ankle sewn back on, because he's been playing on one foot for the whole season. And there's quite a few kids as well in the 29-man squad, including Garang Kual, of course, who has been out on loan in the Netherlands. So we'll talk about off the pitch in a minute. But what are you hoping, Craig, to see on the pitch in these 2 games? One at the MCG and the other at Marvel in a couple of days' time.
I just want to see the lads walk out onto the pitch again. It's been too long for all of us. It's I don't care if Eddie just plays the kids and the likes of Bruno and the like just get a 5-minute run out. Genuinely don't care. Just to meet up with all the fans, you lot alike, and have a good few beers, get merry, get pissed effectively, and sing the lads on as they stick another 4, 5, 6 goals past Spurs, because that's what we all want again, obviously.
We're anticipating this is going to be a bit of an Ange love-in, aren't we, Bobby? Which is fine, He's a popular figure here, and he's done well. But what are you looking forward to seeing from a Newcastle perspective? Because let's be fair, it's just a weird time to actually be playing football games at the end of the season. So obviously we don't want anyone to get injured, but what are you looking forward to seeing, or who are you looking forward to seeing most?
Just like Craig, it's going to be surreal. I think when they walk out at the MCG, it's just going to, it won't make sense to me while I'm there. I'm usually there to watch the yellow and black, but to see the black and white walk out of Newcastle and just be in awe, it will be an Ange shit show. It always is. And I was listening to the radio and I had an interview with with a Tottenham person, Scott Munn, who used to be down here, and not once did they mention Newcastle United that they were playing. So it is going to be a love-in with that, but I couldn't care less. I'm not there to watch them. I'm there to watch Newcastle, and just to see, for me personally, to be within 50 metres of Joel Linton I might have to streak and give him a hug. And I can't wait to see the big Brazilian on the hallowed turf.
Don't get banned from the MCG. You need to go there quite a lot.
Yeah,
Don't get a restraining order either, mate.
Exactly right. So it's going to be tough for me not to run on the pitch, to be honest. But I might have to contain myself.
Craig, you touched on this earlier. What's your plan then? So you're flying down from Mackay because your flights were messed around a bit because one of the airlines here, Bonza, has gone out of business. But you've got flights down there. So what's your plan and what are you going to be doing when you're there?
So we get into Melbourne tomorrow about 1:30 afternoon. Literally plans are meet up with a few people, meet up with yourselves, go to the pub, meet up with fans. Like, we're going to try and get a few player and fan interviews if we can. We've already got some fan interviews lined up for the podcast, just to basically chit chat what they think of the whole event, that sort of thing. But for the whole 3-4 day event, for what it's going to be, it should be absolutely amazing. The venues that are lined up, we're trying to get along the lines of Melbourne, Milan, like it was in the Champions League away. That's all done through Aussie Mag, so well done to them for putting this all together. But it should be a cracking few days, and I can't remember last time I went to an away game, to be honest. It was such a good time, and I'm hoping it's got that type of atmosphere. It should do. I don't know how many people are actually traveling over from the northeast. If you are watching this and you do plan on traveling, or you're watching this on your way to the airport, let me know. But yeah, it will be canny. I don't know numbers, what we're expecting, but I'll probably say there's going to be maybe 10, 15,000 Newcastle fans there. That would probably be a good estimate, I'd say.
Yeah, probably sounds. I think Aussie Mags has got about 3,000 or 4,000 Facebook followers, and they've done a really good job of pushing this and promoting it and working with the club. It's not been a lot of time they've had to organize it, so I would just encourage anybody to go onto the Aussie Mags Facebook page and have a look at the venues that they've got sorted in Richmond for the MCG game, and then around Docklands area for the game on Friday evening. I just want to mention Adam Pearson as well, who came on to our podcast and talked to us very kindly a couple of weeks ago. He had some kind of medical issue on the tube on the way to Brentford, so he went to hospital. So he says he's all right, so hopefully he's going to be okay. But I just wanted to shout out to him. I know he was looking forward to coming to Australia. He's not going to be able to do that now, so get well soon, Adam, from all of us at the Toon under podcast. I'll be down on Friday with my daughter, who's very, very excited. She's already packed her suitcase, and we'll be meeting up, and it'll be really good. Like, it's like we've said a few times, it's such a strange time to be playing games, but we're not gonna reject this. We don't get to see our club very often at all. I don't know quite how I'll feel about it until I'm there, I guess. You put so much effort and so much of your heart and your soul into this club. I'm looking forward to not having to get up in the middle of the night for a few months. But we'll see how it goes. It'll be a good experience. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys and everyone else who's going to be there. So I think we'll call it a day. It's a successful night. It's going to be a successful week. And I'll look forward to seeing you both on Friday. Like I said, have a look at Aussie Mags for the plans, and hopefully we'll see viewers and listeners of the podcast as well there. So come and say hello.
Come and collect one of these stickers from us. We'll have these at the pubs as well. So we'll have a few little goodies there. So come and seek us out
and say hello, and we'll feel like celebrities. That'll be nice. All right, cheers, guys. Have a good night, and I'll see you on Friday.
Thanks, mate. Safe travels, guys.
Enjoy.